This was the last thing a man obsessed with anime and games ever expected. The moment he crossed into another world, he was immediately tied up and dragged away. At first, he thought, after receiving the blessings of 4 angels, he was the chosen hero destined to save the world. But when the real hero appeared, one casual strike from him sent Ash crashing back to his days ago. He had died from overwork, only to wake up in this strange new world. The moment he opened his eyes, a massive group of black-robed figures was kneeling before him, bowing and chanting prayers. From their words, he learned he was the strongest existence in this world. Little did they know, behind his calm expression, he was already in full-blown panic. And to top it off, he had transmigrated into someone with the exact same name, only without the Heath at the end. Ash flexed his fingers and toes, testing out the body's functions. It felt exactly like the original, no difference at all. That made him wonder if he had crossed into a parallel version of himself. To keep things straight, he decided to give this body's original owner a nickname, Heath. But to Ash's dismay, Heath hadn't left him the most important thing, his memories. Now Ash had no idea what he was supposed to do. Those black-robed figures downstairs might be showing respect now, but one slip-up and they could expose him instantly. Just then, the grand hall suddenly shook violently, and one of the black-robed men shouted a prayer for the Lord to descend. In an instant, 4 glowing orbs of different colors fell from the sky. Ash's body dropped to its knees without his control, and the next second, all 4 orbs shot straight toward him. The red orb spoke first. "I'm a lord of a billion lights. I grant you the angel of power, master of battle, courage, and honor, to sweep away all your enemies." Then the blue orb followed. "I am the sovereign of storms, rain, and snow. I grant you the angel of wisdom, master of strategy, change, and fate, to guide you toward every goal." Next came the green orb. "I am the eternal burning heart. I grant you the angel of life, master of vitality, equality, and sharing, so your health will never fade." Finally, the pink orb. "I'm the spirit of dreamlike freedom. I grant you the angel of joy, master of love, pleasure, and art, to bless you with unmatched charm." As their voices faded, Ash felt an overwhelming surge of power flood his body. His mind sharpened, and his mood soared. The corners of his mouth curled up. Who would have thought this random, inexplicable transmigration would turn out to be a jackpot? He was now the chosen savior of this world, protected by 4 divine beings, and followed by an army of loyal believers. It was the perfect script. Fight monsters, level up, save the world, marry the princess, and reach the peak of life. But before he could finish the thought, a deafening crash shook the ceiling above. At the very front, a black-robed follower cried out in panic, "Hero, the blood-mad hunters have found us. Only you could drive them back." Ash let out a cold snort. Just from the name, he could tell these blood-mad hunters were nothing more than cannon fodder XP pinatas. With a flourish, he drew the sword from his waist and declared proudly, "Where my blade points, none can stand. Let these blood-mad hunters be the first souls claimed by my sword. Lead the way." But before anyone could move, a thunderous crash echoed through the hall. "No need to trouble yourselves. We'll come to you." Ash grinned with confidence. "Perfect. Let me show you what a scripted death looks like." In the next instant, all 4 angels blessed him at once. In that moment, Ash felt so powerful he could cleave the entire world in half with a single strike. He wondered, what should I name my very first move in this world? Crescent Moon Slash? Or Flying Thunder God Cut? Nah, better keep it low-key. With that, he unleashed what seemed like a simple sword swing. A surge of devastating sword energy shot forward, tearing straight toward the nearest blood-mad hunter. So this is void-splitting sword chi? Feels powerful, Ash thought smugly. But the next moment, the blood-mad hunter let out a mocking chuckle. That's it. With a twisted grin, he swung his blade, instantly transforming it into a chain sword several meters long, and unleashed a blood-red slash stretching across the hall. Ash's sword energy was devoured instantly, his defensive barrier shredded like wet paper. The entire underground hall split apart with a massive crack from that single strike, and even the ground beneath his feet gave way. Watching his attack crumble so easily, Ash was dumbfounded. How is this possible? Even the four angels were knocked back to their original forms by the sheer force of the blow. The angel of power became a vicious mantis. The angel of wisdom rotted into a giant fly. The angel of life melted into a pale maggot. And the most pitiful of all, the angel of joy, turned into a nauseating cloud of stench. The next instant, Ash slammed hard into the wall. The searing pain in his chest jolted him awake. He was just a clueless newcomer to this world. What made him think he could act so arrogantly out of nowhere, getting dragged into a war that had nothing to do with him? This wasn't something a seasoned corporate grunt like him would ever do. As Ash stood there in a daze, the battle in the underground hall was already over. The black-robed followers were no match for the blood-mad hunters, and were wiped out in the blink of an eye. The leader stepped forward and announced, "I am Gerard Westminster, a blood-mad hunter from the Tribunal of Sin. You are suspected of involvement in 4 cases of cult propagation, as well as multiple kidnappings, murders, and robberies." He then pulled out a scroll and unrolled it in front of Ash. "This is an arrest warrant issued by the Tribunal of Sin in Kaimon City. If you have objections to our enforcement, you can file a complaint at the Kaimon branch or write directly to the mayor's office. And by the way, kid, you've got guts. Owning 4 tier, 2 chaos trance, and they're not even yours, yet you dare face me, a 3-winger. So here's a little reward, an exquisite pair of silver handcuffs." And just like that, on his very first day, Ash had already contributed to this beautiful city. Because that day he got arrested. "Your name is Ash Heath. Age? No idea. I have amnesia. Gender? Hang on, male. Race? Pretty sure I'm not a dog." Outside the interrogation room, Amy watched Ash through the 2-way mirror, her pupils narrowing into slits as his nonchalant attitude drove her up the wall. A man standing nearby said, "Captain, is this guy treating the Tribunal of Sin like a joke? Questioning him like this is useless. Let me handle it. I learned interrogation from a priest back in school and even got a level 1 interrogator's license. I swear in the name of the priesthood, I can make this guy confess to wetting the bed as a kid." Gerard replied flatly, "Burn the license. You think the Human Rights Act is just decoration? If Ash Heath loses sleep tonight, we're the ones who will be in trouble." Amy, both furious and frustrated, clicked her tongue. "Then what about a memory mage? We've had him here for so long. Why hasn't anyone extracted this criminal's memories yet?" Gerard's tone remained cold. "The memory mage won't come. He's different. He's seen the 4 pillar gods." Amy froze at the words. Gerard continued, "Not just him. No cultist's memory can be extracted. Memory corruption is the 4 pillar god's specialty. 134 years ago, I handled a cult case involving the 4 pillar gods. The memory mage who probed a believer's mind ended up unknowingly becoming a follower himself. That's why this cult can never be truly wiped out." Amy was dumbfounded. Then what? No evidence, no torture, no memory extraction. Do we just let him go? Or are we talking special measures? Gerard said coldly, "No special measures needed. There's a type of execution reserved for criminals this heinous. This interrogation is just procedure. The real trial will be held at 8 p.m. on the 15th by the entire city." Realization dawned on Amy, and she flicked her tail. Turning away, she said, "Then I'll leave it to you." Gerard was still watching Ash from behind glass. By law, interrogations over 15 minutes required a break for the suspect, something that actually made him breathe easier. Holding a cup of water, Ash's fingers instinctively touched the fully healed wound on his chest, his heart a mix of surprise and unease. Gerard studied his every move in silence. Everything about Ash's reactions seemed genuine, like he really was just an amnesiac ordinary man. Under the laws of this world, patients with depression can be exempt from punishment. But to prove memory loss, we'd have to extract his memories. Forget it. Let's move on to the next arrest. His trial will be the people's business. Inside the cell, Ash's heart felt as heavy as lead. He had thought he was the chosen hero destined to save the world. Instead, he'd become a cult leader looking to start a business, and was being hunted by swarms of heroes treating him like an XP mob. They'd definitely execute him. Sure, their questioning was polite, and the room came with free meals and lodging. But thinking about it, with how advanced this world seemed, and how nice the cells were, maybe they'd already abolished the death penalty. Just as he was quietly celebrating that thought, a sudden heat flared on the back of his neck. The next moment, a glowing screen appeared before his eyes. "Dear Ash Heath, the Haimeng City Council cordially invites you to be a special guest for the Blood Moon Judgment at 8 p.m. on the 15th of this month. Please mind your appearance. We will send someone to escort you to the live broadcast site. To withdraw from the program, reply TC. The moment he saw the name, Ash knew it was bad news. He immediately typed TC into the keyboard and hit send without hesitation. Apologies. You are currently under arrest and interrogation. Messaging functions are disabled. Ash couldn't help but snap. That last line, was that just to mess with me? With a shrug, he completely gave up. So this glowing screen was basically this world's smartphone. He'd thought it was some cheat from transmigrating. Turns out it was just a standard issue gadget. Then, something caught his eye, a familiar app icon, Aurora's Magus manual. Wait, how did this thing cross over with me? Aurora was the company he'd worked for in his original world. This app was the game his team had tasked him with operating. He just downloaded the demo back then, planning to test it out, but before he could play, he'd been yanked into this world. And now, somehow, the mobile game had come with him. It had even auto-installed into his mind's HUD. Could this be my transmigration cheat? Ash's pulse quickened. Bring me a miracle. Aurora's Magus manual. Launch. But the next instant, the entire screen turned blood red. He froze, right? He'd forgotten he was still under a network ban. Just as despair set in, the screen chimed with a bright ding. No way. The system's back online, and the game had actually booted up. But to Ash's surprise, the only functions in the entire game that actually worked were the gacha system and the microtransaction store. He tapped one experimentally, and sure enough, it only opened the recharge screen. Ash slammed the glowing screen onto the floor and cursed, "A demo build for internal testing. And you actually put a cash shop in it? What? Try to take back our salaries." He opened another menu, stared for a second, then burst out, "Seriously? Even the first summon costs money? Who the hell came up with this shameless idea?" Then he paused. "All right, my company did. Never mind then." Just then, the screen on the floor chimed twice. "Sign in, system restored. Congratulations, you've successfully signed in. Reward, 1 source crystal. As a first-time bonus, you've received a 10-draw operator voucher. Every 10 draws guarantees 1 operator." Ash tilted his head. "Operators, huh? Can they actually fight for me?" "Whatever, guess it's worth a shot." He was about to hit the summon button when a thought struck him, making him freeze mid-motion. Pressing his hands together, he prayed solemnly, "O spirits of the earth, hear my plea. Mother Earth, bless me. God Almighty, amen." Ash breathed on his fingertips for luck, then decisively hit the recruit button, praying like mad to pull an operator who could change his fate. The results: 2 stamina potions, 2 EXP potions, a Madblade Sword Maiden, beginner combat card, and a training wooden sword. Ash's eyes lit up. Finally, a decent pull. He quickly opened the Sword Maiden stats page, only to scoff. Seriously? All that text? And she's just a vanilla pretty girl? Where's the Madblade part supposed to be? With a scowl, he slammed the screen down again. Fine, weak characters I can accept, but you mean I can't even summon her into the real world to fight for me? Then what's the point? I'm gonna be on the execution block in a few days, part of some executioner's KPI. What? You want me to spend my last days logging in daily to boost your trash games metrics? Your starter unit can't even fight right away. How's a player supposed to feel hyped? With design like this, I could be the lead dev myself. Mid-rant, he noticed a little red dot on the operator management tab. His inner OCD kicked in, and he tapped it immediately. To his surprise, besides the Sword Maiden, he had another operator, /Apocalypse, End Watcher, and this one looked exactly like him, right down to the outfit he'd been wearing before. Then he spotted a 30% EXP contribution note on the Sword Maiden's profile. If his guess was right, training the Sword Maiden in-game would make him stronger in reality. This could be his one ticket out of prison. Good thing I just pulled a bunch of training items. Ash muttered, didn't expect this training system to be so considerate. The happier an operator is, the better the training results. He sighed, but come on, I'm a dead man walking. Where am I going to find time to babysit a 2D girl's mood? Ash immediately set up a full week's training regimen for the Madblade Sword Maiden. Then he ordered, "Work hard for me, Sword Maiden." Just then, the system popped up a prompt. Activate the innate talent of /Apocalypse, End Watcher, to register the Madblade Sword Maiden into the Magus manual. This action is irreversible. Ash agreed without hesitation, and lines of code began streaming across the glowing screen. That should do it. Before he knew it, his eyes grew heavy, and he drifted into sleep. Meanwhile, 3 hours away from Ash's location, a young woman who had gone to bed early after her skincare routine suddenly found herself waking up inside her dream. She stood on a small, unfamiliar island. Looking around, she noticed behind her a corpse with a sword driven through its chest, strangely, with no signs of decay. She scooped a handful of seawater and tasted it. Sweet. So this really was a dream. But why would a dream contain a corpse she had never seen before? She stepped closer for a better look. Pulling the sword from the chest, she gasped, "This blade, it's perfect. It's like it was made just for me." She expected the body to collapse, yet it began to move. Startled, she gripped the sword tightly. "What are you?" "I am /Apocalypse, End Watcher. You may call me End Watcher. But don't worry, I'm not your enemy." He paused, then added coldly, "I'm just going to kill you." Her stance tightened. "What do you want?" End Watcher lowered into a ready position, hand on the hilt. "For the next 72 hours, you can only leave this place if you defeat me. Otherwise, you'll remain here for the full 72 hours. Before she could respond, his blade was already swinging toward her. In a blur, she was back at the place she first arrived. Touching her neck, she muttered, "What just happened? It felt like my neck was cut, but isn't this a dream?" End Watcher smirked. "The only difference between dream and reality is this. Reality is a dream woven by everyone, while a dream is a prison you build for yourself. And your 10-second rest is over." In the next moment, she was pulled right back to the starting point. End Watcher smirked. "You'd better hold that sword tight. Only then might you die with a shred of dignity." But Sonia wasn't buying it. She spun around and dove straight into the sea. "Let's see you try cutting the ocean in half," she thought. End Watcher's voice followed, calm and cutting. "Running away is shameful and useless." That's when Sonia froze. She had never learned to swim. "Wait, what? This is a dream, so why am I suffocating?" The moment she broke the surface, gasping for air, End Watcher hurled his sword without hesitation. Sonia still clung to hope. "I'm just grabbing a breath for a second or two. You won't even notice." Splash! She was instantly yanked back to the starting point. Reaching up, she touched her chin. "Still there, so he stabbed it off last time." She glared at End Watcher. He sneered. "So, you were hoping to see me unarmed? After all these deaths, you're still this naive?" Sonia snapped. "End Watcher, you're completely unreasonable." Just when he thought she was finally ready to fight seriously, she dropped to her knees and hugged his leg. "Oh great, merciful, and noble unknown master. Sonia will follow you. Please stop tormenting me. I'll be obedient. I'll do whatever you say." End Watcher's grin turned wicked. "Anything at all." Sonia blushed and nodded. "Good. Then I order you, defeat me." In an instant, she was sent right back to the starting point. Humiliated, Sonia stomped her foot. "Seriously? I've done nothing to you. Why waste your time on a nobody like me? There are plenty of truly evil people in this world. If you want to punish wrongdoers, I can recommend a few. And if you're the villain, I can even point you to some high-ranking, hypocritical big shots. I'm just an ordinary college girl, hardly worth all this effort from you." Sonia spread her hands with a resigned look. "Whatever you want me to do, just say it. I'm like a rose meant to be trampled, born to drift with the current." End Watcher's eyes narrowed. "How can you be sure you haven't wronged me before?" In the blink of an eye, Sonia was back at the starting point again. "So, if I survive for 72 hours, I get to leave this damn dream?" she asked. "Yes," End Watcher replied. "But there's no clock here. Compared to a lifetime, 72 hours isn't long. But in death, it's an eternity. Can you really endure constant death for that long? And why do you believe what I say is true? Even if you escape tonight, what about tomorrow night? Or the night after?" He shifted into a sheathing stance. "Once you've tasted death, you should know better than to expect miracles." Yet instead of reviving, Sonia raised her sword and blocked End Watcher's strike. "You've left me no choice, End Watcher," she shouted. The next second, she was sent back to the starting point. Closing her eyes, she racked her brain to recall every detail of their battles, and soon realized End Watcher had no supernatural powers. Even physically, he didn't outmatch her. She'd heard that a swordsman who'd reached the peak could make an onlooker's skin prickle with just a casual swing. Their grip on the hilt alone could make the weak submit. Compared to those true giants, End Watcher was merely a very skilled swordsman. Yet when she saw his wounds close instantly, Sonia sneered. "Oh, so it really is a fair duel." The moment her 10-second respite ended, Sonia launched the first strike. She had long noticed that in the very first second of every bout, End Watcher would place his hand on the hilt, preparing to gather power. That power was immense, but if she attacked first, his opening move would lose its edge. Through countless blocks and counterattacks, She finally spotted a flaw in his defense. End Watcher barely reacted in time, narrowly avoiding a fatal sword slash. He immediately countered, striking at her blind spot. But Sonya only let out a cold snort. Her feet shifted in a strange, flowing pattern, slipping cleanly past his strike. Didn't see that coming, did you, End Watcher? I've been waiting for this moment. She shifted into a sheathing stance, smirking. After dying this many times, even a pig would have learned your moves by now. With a sharp cry, Sonya stepped in, spun forward, and slashed in one fluid motion. Your read, your aye. Take them back. The blade cut clean across End Watcher's chest. But in the blink of an eye, the wound was gone. Sonya asked cautiously, does that count as defeating you? End Watcher answered calmly, yes. Relief flashed across her face. But then he added, of course, that was only me with one sword. He drew a second blade, crossing both before his chest. First half's over. Second half begins. And this time, there's no 10-second rest. In a daze, Sonya opened her eyes to someone calling her. Sonya, we got an early class today, aren't you coming? She rubbed her temples and sat up, finding only Ingrid left in the dorm. What time is it? 7:30. What's with you today? Normally you're up an hour early doing makeup. Looking weary, Sonya murmured. Maybe I had a nightmare. Ingrid waved it off. Nightmares fade fast. Hurry to class or you'll lose points. Then she left the room. Sonya sat there for a moment, then got up, washing and doing her makeup in one swift routine. In the classroom, her mind drifted back to the night before. Aren't nightmares supposed to fade? Why can I remember it so clearly? And as the image of striking the dual-bladed End Watcher replayed in her mind, her trial had finally come to an end. But End Watcher's parting words made Sonya's blood run cold. This trial is over, but your life is only just beginning. That was definitely no blessing. Her expression hardened. Apocalypse End Watcher, I, Sonya, will never let you control my life. I've only just gotten it back on track. Meanwhile, in the luxury suite on the prison's lowest floor, Ash groaned, rubbing his forehead. What the hell? I feel even more tired after sleeping like I just got beaten up. Then he spotted a familiar red dot on his mobile game interface. His OCD couldn't ignore it. Without hesitation, he tapped it. The Mad Blade Sword Maiden appeared on screen, practically bouncing with joy. Congratulations on completing the trial. Your bond with the Mad Blade Sword Maiden has deepened. Ash blinked. Wait, just sending her into a trial increases our bond? That's a thing. He grinned smugly. Huh, good thing I set it up early. Now stick to the plan and keep training, Sword Maiden. At that exact moment in class, Sonya felt a strange pang in her chest. But she calmly answered the teacher's question. Before a Magus enters the Void Realm, they must first summon at least one spirit. Only through the spirit can they open the gate of truth and step into the realm. Sonya Servi was born in one of the poorest, most remote villages of the Star Nation. For her to study at this prestigious noble academy was only possible thanks to the government-issued miracle bracelet. She blazed through all the basic courses stored in the bracelet, becoming the first in 20 years from her hometown to enter Swordflower University. When she first arrived, she faced her share of cold stares and mockery, but she quickly mastered makeup and fashion, and within a month, shed her heavy rural accent, never once slacking in her studies. She could be seen in almost every campus event, and her repeated stints as host made her a rising star, soon becoming the popular favorite to be the 67th Swordflower. She lived by one belief. If so many in this world could find happiness, why couldn't she? After class, Sonya hurried to the school gate, where she spotted her mother standing under the blazing sun. Mom, why are you just standing out here? Couldn't you find a tree for shade? Her mother smiled. I didn't want you to miss me, Linda. I've told you so many times, I'm Sonya, not Linda. Sorry, I forgot again. Sonya grabbed her mother's hand and headed for the train. Since you've come all the way to Gallus, I have to take you to see the capital. But her mother waved it off. On my way here, I saw a park nearby. No need to waste the money. Sonya ignored her and gently pushed her onto the train. Yes, she had changed her name, simply because here, even a random waiter might be called Linda. The first time Sonya came to Gallus, she was mesmerized by its clean streets and towering buildings. This was a place of polite, well-mannered citizens and massive LED screens that played promotional clips day and night. From that moment, she vowed, even if she were to die, she wanted to die in this city. And getting here at all was thanks entirely to her mother. Her father had been a drunken, short-tempered wreck who drank himself to death when she was still a child. Her mother raised her alone, and it was her mother's tireless work that allowed Sonia to focus on her studies. Most kids in her village started working in factories during the day, and at night could only watch the single channel they received, Meteor Channel. And so they drifted through life, never leaving that small town. Now, Sonia not only had a scholarship, but also earned extra from part-time work, and she was determined to let her mother enjoy the happiness this city could offer. Time flew, and soon it was time to part. Your return ticket is already linked to your bracelet. Just scan it at the gate. Watching her mother's back as she prepared to leave, Sonia felt a pang of reluctance. She quickly caught up. "Mom, why not stay another day? I don't have class tomorrow. I can spend it with you." Her mother turned, smiling warmly as she took Sonia's hand. "This is your time now. Whatever happens, I'll be at home, ready with a hot meal. Big cities are too complicated. It's fine to just live peacefully back home." Then she slipped a small pouch into Sonia's hand. "Almost forgot. There's a little money in here. It's not much, but I don't need it. You keep it." With that, she headed for the train. "Don't worry about me. If anything happens, the neighbors will help. Just write letters back. Oh, and don't send money. Keep it for yourself. The post office might lose it." Sonia tucked the pouch away with a sigh. "You're right, Mom. Big cities are complicated." In the next instant, she caught a pickpocket's wrist and twisted it until it snapped. Leaving him stunned, she walked out of the station. Gazing at the bustling streets, she smirked. But Sonia is exactly that kind of complicated. That night, when Sonia returned to campus, the main gate was already shut. She hurried to explain to the guard. There was a traffic accident. The tram stopped for over half an hour. I ran the whole way back. I'm so scared. If I'm late 3 times, I'll have to take the thorns punishment. 3 times means expulsion." With her soft, pitiful plea, the guard eventually unlocked the gate and let her in. Sonia had always known beauty could earn favors, but it wasn't until she came to Gallus that she realized its power here was far greater. Compared to her poor village, the city's civilized folk were much more willing to grant conveniences for a pretty face. She was genuinely grateful to the Star Law Lord for making the Star Nation so prosperous and refined, giving her a chance to squeeze into high society. If she'd been born in a barbaric country, she might have been snatched away as some brute's trophy long ago. She also thanked her mother. Had she worked the field from childhood, even her natural beauty would have been weathered into a coarse village girl. As she neared her dorm room, she overheard voices inside. "It's past 7. That stray mutt probably isn't coming back tonight. Finally dropped the act, but she's hooked up with some rich sugar daddy." Sonia stopped at the door, thinking, right on cue for the classic roommate friendship breakup, trash talk edition. You didn't see her in class, flirting with guys. A country mutt like her. Other than her face, what's so great about her? Oh, and Dithley said she saw Sonia leaving campus at noon to talk to some peasant woman. Bet that was her mother. Figures, trash daughter, trash mom. Mid-gossip, Sonia suddenly pushed the door open. The 2 girls inside nearly jumped out of their skins. One was her roommate, Lois. The other, Adele, Lois's tag-along. These 2 were the ones she clashed with most. Lois, the local merchant's daughter, had always looked down on Sonia, flaunting her own looks and making veiled jabs at Sonia's humble origins. But no matter what Lois said, whenever they appeared together, the number of guys gravitating towards Sonia was noticeably higher. She simply outshone her. And when Sonia snagged the role of host at a campus event, Lois dropped all pretense. That's when she started throwing money around, frequently organizing social events for the water arts department, paying for fancy restaurant outings, but always making sure not to invite Sonia. As a result, more guys started chasing Lois, but her taste was questionable. Take the senior she claimed she'd finally fallen for. He only had a brief run-in with Sonia, and the guy instantly fell head over heels and confessed to Sonia. Sonia turned him down on the spot. If even a stray mutt wouldn't want him, why would she? She doesn't have time for romance. Her goal is Gallus, and she's staying here. But she's just a country girl who tested in. Making it on her own could take decades. So she'll find a good man, a shortcut into high society. Her plan is crystal clear: become a water magus. She's done the research. Over 50% of noble wives are water magi. If the husband's a magus too, it jumps past 70%. Water magi are a massive plus in noble matchmaking. Swordflower University isn't the absolute top, but it's elite at training sword, water, and wind magi. Graduate from any of those 3 tracks, and your future's set. Mom, she's a Swordflower graduate, and a water magus. Perfect. That's exactly the kind of daughter-in-law we need. By the way, water magi often become healers thanks to their recovery spells. Wind magi usually end up weather magi, working outdoors in harsh conditions. And sword magi, being overly brawny, tend to be a minus for women. That's why Sonia's milestones are fixed. Summon her first water spirit by next year, and, ideally before graduation, unfurl the silver wing and reach one wing rank. Next, she planned to find a way into Gallus' Truth Magus University events, her best chance to hook a noble heir. Truth University wasn't just Gallus' top mage academy. It was the most prestigious school in the entire Star Realm, filled with the rich and powerful. That was where Sonia's future boyfriend would be. The boys at Swordflower? Not worth a glance. If all went well, she'd marry into the aristocracy, use her husband's connections to build her own fortune, and even after a divorce, still have enough to stand tall in Gallus and bring her mother over to live like nobility. But just as Sonia was lost in her perfect daydream, a cold voice cut in, "No, you need to train with the sword." It was the End Observer. His tone was icy. "If I were you, I'd first check how others are reacting. If you want to speak to me, just think it in your head." Sonia glanced around. The other girls in the dorm hadn't noticed him at all. A chill ran down her spine. "Who exactly are you?" "I am the final observer. You may simply call me the Observer." If you're already this forgetful at your age, maybe it's time to rein yourself in and stop chasing distractions. Relax, Sword Maiden. I'm not your enemy. I'm nothing more than a distant fragment of longing, and not even a complete person anymore. Enough chit-chat. Let's get back to business. The End Watcher conjured a vial of potion out of thin air. "First, you're going to drink this." Sonia instantly shook her head. "Are you kidding me?" "No way." Before she could react, he had already poured it out. She felt the liquid surge straight into her body. Then, the End Watcher produced a wooden sword and gestured toward her. "Now, you feel like training with the sword, don't you?" Sonia clenched her teeth, resisting the strange urge. "No," she replied firmly. But in the end, she couldn't fight it. She picked up the wooden sword and walked out of the dorm room. Inside the sword training hall, Mogulite was in the middle of her drills. She was already panting heavily from exhaustion. Glancing at her progress, she beamed, almost at the edge of the 9th ring. At this pace, she'd reach the 10th ring within the month and summon her blade spirit. Just then, Sonia stepped into the hall, wooden sword in hand. All eyes immediately turned toward her. Someone whispered in surprise, "This isn't where you belong. Aren't you a water type?" Without answering, Sonia thrust her sword straight into the target dummy. Mogulite's eyes narrowed. "Your main hand's unstable, your offhand's weak, your footwork sloppy, and your body sluggish. Nothing about that form is acceptable. A female swordcaster who wants to summon a spirit and master her arts needs a body trained even harder than most men. You'll need calluses on your hands, hardened arms and legs, and a strong core. Sonia, are you ready for that?" She added with a sly tone, "Your chances with men will drop." "Oh, is this about a man? Don't tell me him." Felix Vosloda, first-year sword prodigy, heir to one of the Starlight Nation's top noble houses, and son of one of the 5 pillars of the Starlight Council. He should have been at the elite Truth University, yet for some reason chose Swordflower University. His father, the Duke of Vosloda, known as the Star Forger, controlled the nation's most advanced steelworks, with influence stretching across the military, commerce, and politics. One of the most powerful men in the entire country. But that guy's a total playboy. I've seen it myself. 5 days in a row, and every day a different girl came looking for him at the training grounds. "And didn't you say he's dangerous?" Mogulite thought for a moment. "Well, if it makes you fall in love with swordsmanship, then I guess it's not all bad." "Yes, another friend who loves swordsmanship." Then she noticed something unbelievable. Wait, she's already touching the edge of the 1st ring. It's only been a few minutes. Did Sonia train before? Looking closer, her movements were still rough, every swing draining all her strength, sweat dripping nonstop. But every strike perfectly followed the standards from the swordsmanship manual. At this pace, she should collapse in a few more minutes. It's impossible to train effectively like this. Mogulite felt a chill. She'd tried before. Her record was 256 swings in 11 minutes. The crowd grew more shocked the longer they counted. 96 minutes had passed. Anyone know how many swings now? Someone who'd been counting since the start spoke up. She was at 1,700 swings when her blade hit the 7th ring. I lost track for a bit, but now she's around 2,400. Just then, Celia walked in, Felix's upperclassman and girlfriend. She thought the noise was from her boyfriend. Could it be that Felix had finally summoned his Waveblade spirit? She was already thinking, should they celebrate at Amberfield Club, Golden Harbor Bar, or just head back to his place for some quality time? But to her surprise, Felix Intel was also standing there, watching. He was sweating, eyes locked on Sonia. Celia walked over and asked, "What are you all staring at? Why so tense?" Felix muttered, "Didn't even know our swordsmanship department had such a beautiful junior." Celia sneered inwardly. This girl might look barefaced, but she was clearly wearing a flawless first love makeup look designed to hit every single male weakness. With a face like that, her target could only be Felix. No way she's stealing my man. Celia quickly wrapped her arm around Felix's and smiled. "So, you're all watching her train just because she's pretty?" Felix explained, "Since you're not a swordsmanship student, I'll make it simple. An hour and a half ago, she was a total newbie who couldn't even hold a sword properly. Now, she can cut into the 9th ring in a single strike." Celia's eyes widened. "What? She's faking it, right? I trained for months, and even at above average skill, I only reached the 2nd ring." Felix couldn't believe it either, but he'd seen everything. He'd been waiting for her to hit a wall, but after an hour and a half, his jealousy had turned into pure admiration. He actually spoke with such humility and sincerity. Celia was even more stunned. Normally, Felix looked down on his own father and brother. Yet here he was staring at a girl for a full hour and a half. That was an extremely dangerous sign. And that girl, the hunter named Sonia, had been training non-stop for the entire 90 minutes. Not even a single break. Most people would need to rest after just a few minutes of practice. Even someone hailed as a genius like Felix could only last about 3 hours, and that included breaks to relax in between. No wonder this group of guys, who only knew how to brute force their training, had been utterly crushed. Celia's heart sank to the bottom. If she, the elegant and intellectual senior, scored 80 points in Felix's heart, then Sonia, the genius swordswoman beauty, was a perfect 150. She had virtually no chance of winning. Just then, Sonia's blade struck dead center, 10 points. Everyone froze in stunned silence. Sonia snapped out of her trance, realizing what she had just done. She'd landed a perfect strike. Even if she did nothing else from this point on, once the moment came, she could trigger a resonance with the knowledge of the ether realm, summon a sword technique spirit, step into the ether realm, and become a winged ether mage. A dream of living the rest of her life without worrying about food or money. Was it really about to come true just like that? At Swordflower University, not everyone could become a mage. The graduation rate hovered around 50%, and every winged ether mage who did graduate had a dazzling future ahead. At that moment, Sonia's eyes narrowed. She'd just heard the voice of the observer. She immediately looked toward Felix. A strange sight appeared. An empty potion bottle floated above his shoulder, visible only to her. The next second, the observer's shadowy figure emerged behind Felix. His voice was cold and detached. "Sword Maiden, you can't rest yet. You need to defeat this man." Sonia's face darkened. She accused the observer of exploiting her. The observer was unfazed. "It's not as complicated as you think. I'm simply arranging a fight for you, and the strongest person here happens to be him. That's all. Whether he's a noble or not doesn't matter." Then he smirked. "Of course, if he is a noble, that's even better. I love watching nobles get beaten down. If you win, maybe step on his face or smack his butt. I've heard some starborn nobles are real perverts." Sonia frowned. "Can't you pick someone else? I don't want anything to do with Felix." The observer tilted his head, looking puzzled. Sonia had studied him before. This guy was strange and dangerous. As for Felix Vasloda, one of the easiest noble heirs to approach at Swordflower University, she had naturally listed him as a potential target. His playboy reputation wasn't the real problem. The real problem was his family background and his notorious ex-girlfriend club. Rumor had it Felix was basically a 10 girls a day, walking reproduction machine. Yet, he'd never once taken a girlfriend to stay the night. He lived in a villa off campus, leaving immediately after evening training, always driving his one-of-a-kind silver Gallop Tiger, the only one of its kind in school. He swapped girlfriends at the rate of one every 3 days, yet never brought any home. Sonia refused to believe he could finish the job in just 3 days, which led to her conclusion. Felix wasn't a lust-driven pervert, but more of a collector, stamping girlfriends like they were part of a bizarre hobby. And the fact that the son of Duke Vasloda ended up studying here, it was hard not to suspect he'd been caught up in some political power struggle. That's how it always goes in the novels. A guy like him would be the archetypal noble villain, someone you absolutely don't want to get involved with. The observer raised a brow. So, you're saying if I make you fight him, you're likely to get into trouble? Sonia nodded firmly, confirming his words without hesitation. But the very next thing the observer said turned her to stone on the spot. This is perfect. I want you to cause trouble. I want you to go all out, stay in the spotlight, and crush every enemy who dares to stand in your way. Isn't that exactly what you've always wanted? Sonia was on the verge of tears. When had she ever wished for something that childish and arrogant? Before she could protest, the observer cut her off. Then I wish you victory in your first battle. Smash the swordsmanship prodigy and kick a starborn noble while you're at it. Sonia immediately raised her sword, pointing it straight at Felix. Felix Vesloda, the genius of the swordsmanship department. In all of Swordflower University, you're the only one worthy to serve as the stepping stone for my spirit summon. Do you dare face me in battle? The crowd erupted. Whoa, that's awesome. Is this the pride of a true genius? She's throwing down the gauntlet. A challenge. Celia's heart sank. Of course. Sonia's target was Felix too, and she'd used the oldest, yet most effective, trick in the book to get tied to him. Meanwhile, Ingrid tried to intervene. Nia, you've been training for 2 hours straight. Even if you're going to duel, at least wait until tomorrow. But Felix shook his head. No, it's happening now. 2 hours. 3,600 strikes. From a beginner's stance to sword mastery. You're the most gifted person I've ever seen, and only the second one who's ever made me feel fear. If I don't accept your challenge now, by the time I wake up tomorrow, I might not even have the courage to draw my sword in front of you. This might be my only chance to beat you. Even if people say I'm taking advantage of your exhaustion, I don't care. If I can defeat you tonight, at least I'll still have the right and the courage to chase after your shadow. The Vesloda family was famed for its swordsmanship, with 4 secret stances capable of summoning a spirit. The wave stance was one of them. In the sword arts, a stance was not just a training method, but also a summoning ritual and a combat technique. Suddenly, Sonia realized her body was no longer under her control. She protested. What's the point of fighting if you're the one controlling me? Even if I win, it's really you who won. I'd just be a bystander. If all you want is to puppeteer me, go ahead. It's not like I can fight back. But how about this? Give me back control, and I promise I'll fight. If one opponent isn't enough, I'll take on 2. How about that? The observer gave a faint smile. And who told you I was the one controlling your body? Did you really think I just picked a random opponent for you? Did you really think I could ignore your will and force your body to move? You know you have a chance to gain power right now, and you know you've already wasted far too much time. That's why you came here, pushing yourself until every last drop of strength is gone, just so others would notice. Just so your roommate, Ingrid, would notice. You have more than just your looks. You have talent worth being proud of. So why challenge Felix? Because from the very first moment you saw him, you hated him. From the moment you saw him driving his silver Gallop Tiger through the campus road, basking in the crowd's admiration. From the moment you saw him become the center of attention, you were already jealous of him, envious of him, and you hated him. In his eyes, you were just a rookie who only knew the basic forms from the swordsmanship manual, even if your talent surpassed his. His wave stance could still hold the advantage, the wave stance of a noble family. The fight grew fiercer. Rage boiled inside Sonia. Why are they born with everything? Why do they get to be better than me in every way? Felix was barely holding his ground, stunned. She's still matching me blow for blow. Where is she getting the stamina? In an instant, his aura surged. He prepared to unleash his strongest strike, to end the match in a single blow. The observer stood among the crowd, watching Sonia with satisfaction. Now you understand, Sword Maiden. All of this comes from your own heart. It was you who gripped the wooden sword. You who stepped onto the training ground. You who wanted to defeat him. You who wanted to prove Sonia Servi is no less than anyone. Sonia took her stance, and Felix's eyes widened. Wave stance? The crowd exploded. Wave stance. There's no way she learned it just by watching. She's provoking him. This is insane. Celia's jealousy burned. A huntress this skilled? Using this kind of challenge to humiliate Felix. He'll never be able to forget you. And if you lose after this, you'll hand him the perfect excuse to agree to future duels. More chances to get close to him. Felix roared. Sonia, you're bringing this humiliation on yourself. I'm not inferior to anyone. The very next moment, their blades clashed fiercely. Sonia's wooden sword snapped in two. All eyes shot to Felix's shoulder. That was a spirit. Slowly, A spirit emerged above his shoulder. The wave sword spirit. A breakthrough mid-battle. Someone had actually summoned their life-bound spirit in the heat of combat. Truly worthy of the Voslota name. Mogrit called out loudly. Don't lose heart, Sonya. You'll summon your spirits soon enough. Then you can. But Sonya calmly said, I haven't lost. Two swordsmanship students whispered, still talking tough, kinda cute though. Geniuses just can't let go of their pride. The next instant, Felix's wooden sword also splintered apart. Gasps swept through the crowd. A spirit identical to Felix's had appeared on Sonya's shoulder. The place erupted. She summoned the Voslota family's wave sword spirit too? Don't tell me she mastered Felix's wave stance mid-fight and summoned it on the spot? That's impossible. If that was true, she had jumped from swordsmanship apprentice to swordmaster in just a few hours, achieving in one night what took others years to reach. In the crowd, the observer smiled in satisfaction. Sonya finally realized the observer was nothing more than a manifestation of her own mind. You're just my inner voice? Just my hallucination? His figure began to fade away. Just before vanishing completely, he made a hand gesture and said, Take a guess. Sonya cursed him silently in her heart. At that moment, the system chimed, /mad sword maiden leveled up. New skill acquired. Wave sword. Ash nearly jumped for joy. Oh yes, leveled up. I don't even know what a one-wing swordmaster is, but that guy who cut me down earlier had 3 wings. So wings must mean big deal extraordinary. He allowed a long breath. Getting up at 6 to check his training progress had been worth it. Hard work really did pay off. But where was that promised 30% shared recovery EXP? Ash didn't feel any stronger at all. No sudden surge of power, no mind-blowing rush, no instant skill upload. The /terminal observer operator interface hadn't changed a bit either. Could he have been scammed? Maybe it was because he hadn't spent any money. After all, his family's company was infamous for making games where if you don't pay, you don't play. Just then, a light flared at the back of Ash's neck. Dear Ash Heath, your life certification for Smashed Lake Prison is now complete. You may move freely within designated areas. Please see the attached Smashed Lake Prison Inmate Guide for details. Note, meal delivery will no longer be provided. Please proceed to the cafeteria for dining. Hearing this, he saw the prison gate actually open. What was going on? He quickly flipped open the inmate guide. Free activity hours, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. accessible areas. Central Hall, reading room, gym, media room, Ocean View Terrace, couples room, supplies provided. Workshop, cafeteria hours. Breakfast 7 to 9 a.m. Lunch 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner 5 to 8 p.m. outside of these times. Meal ordering service is available. Reading room. Report missing books to the administrator. Replacements will arrive within 3 working days. Media room. Only programs legally purchased from official channels are available. Currently screening movies will be provided only after theatrical release. Ends. Couples room. Place used items in the recycle bin. Do not wash and return them yourself. This level of freedom was suspicious. Could be some prank message to mess with new inmates. If something feels this off, there's always a catch, and Ash wasn't about to fall for it. But while he was mulling it over, his stomach let out a loud growl. He was hungry. After a moment's thought, he decided to grab a quick meal and come straight back. Nothing should happen in the meantime, right? But when he stepped out, he noticed there wasn't a single guard in the hallway. He entered a large, bustling hall. Everywhere he looked, inmates were moving about freely, nothing like people who'd lost their freedom. Ash spotted a guard lounging around, casually playing a game. Completely unaware, he felt a surge of relief. Finally, a guard. At least there was someone he could call for help. He still hadn't received the Sword Maiden's experience yet, which meant he was a certified, grade A piece of deadweight. No combat ability whatsoever, plus all the mental weaknesses of an overworked corporate drone. Without an enforcer's protection, he wasn't even sure he could protect his dignity. Feeling a bit more at ease, he decided to look for the cafeteria. On the way, he overheard 2 men watching the news. Can't believe Lorenzo actually became a counselor. Looks like he's joined the Immortal Wine Club. That means Andrea's faction completely overshadows the mayor now. But the mayor won't even finish his term before he's out. A strange-looking man countered, I don't think so. Mayor Financiu has Bishop Enrico's backing. You'll see. Lorenzo's rise isn't a sign of Andrea's victory. It's his death sentence. Andrea's been rooted in Kaimon for decades. The church won't move against him unless stability is at stake. Just then, a voice spoke from behind Ash. Have you forgotten the railway commissioner's suicide 15 years ago? He turned to see green-skinned orc inmates and a goblin prisoner discussing high-level political shifts. Then a blond man strolled over. Well, the leader of a four-pillar god cult actually cares about Cayman's municipal politics. Ash turned toward him. The man continued, "Of course I know you. You've been on the 7 o'clock news, front page the last 2 days. News is the fastest way we get to know our new friends. First time meeting in person, though. You might have seen me on the news, too, Igula Boking." Ash replied cautiously, "Nice to meet you. I'm Ash. Is everyone here this friendly?" Boking grinned. "We're always warm to newcomers. After all, we all share the same aspirations. Interested in joining our prison break research group? We look out for each other." Ash's eyes lit up. Talk about perfect timing. He'd been looking for a way to break out, and here was a ready-made group to join. Just then, a girl's cold voice cut in. "If I were you, I'd punch him in the face." Hearing that, Ash thought the voice sounded familiar. Was that the Sword Maiden? The next second, he threw a punch straight at Igula Boking. Just as his fist was about to connect, the system blared a red alert / "Warning. You are delivering excessive kinetic force to a citizen. This is a prohibited action. This is a prohibited action." His fist froze in midair, inches from Boking's face. Boking smirked. "Ash, that soft, harmless punch of yours is kinda cute. Looks like you're enjoying prison life just fine. I won't bother you then." With that, he turned and walked away. Ash exhaled deeply, finally able to move again. What the hell was that? The Sword Maiden's voice was cold. "What's there to be surprised about? The miracle chip in the back of your neck detected an attempted assault and sent a neural signal to temporarily seize control of your body, preventing the attack. This technology is widely used in livestock management, though it seems to work even better on humans." Ash was dumbfounded. "Then why did you tell me to hit him? Even though fighting and spell use are restricted here, there are still plenty of little tricks you can pull. For example, using a spirit to form a contract. If I'm not mistaken, that man has merfolk blood. Merfolk are one of the races most adept at mastering the psychic arts. If you'd agreed to his offer and shaken his hand, it would have been the same as signing a contract. That means becoming friends who help each other. Except, in this case, you'd be obligated to help him, while whether he helps you would depend entirely on his mood." Ash's eyes lit up with realization. "I get it. If I'd actually shaken his hand, that'd be the same as becoming his employee. And no, wait, his unpaid intern." "Oh, right? Other people can't see you?" The Sword Maiden replied coolly. "I can keep talking to you like this, as long as you don't mind everyone else staring at you like you've lost your mind." "So, you really are the Mad Sword Maiden?" "That's right. I'm the Mad Sword Maiden. Ha! Observer. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I never would have guessed you'd sink to a place like this. Mind if I laugh at you?" "Yes, I mind. And why aren't you wearing the outfit from your illustration?" "And you're not? You're strutting around in the deluxe Supreme Smash Lake Prison Classic inmate uniform. You don't look anything like your own art, so don't talk to me about mine." The Sword Maiden puffed out her chest. "I'm a woman. You seriously expect me to wear the same unwashed outfit every day? Since you're here, Sword Maiden Doryman, help me bust out of this prison." She chuckled. "And why would I help you escape? You've got food and a place to stay here. Suits a useless guy like you just fine. Why so desperate to leave? Outside might be worse. Why not just retire early and live the cushy life you've always dreamed of?" "Because I've been set up, and in a few days I've got this Blood Moon trial." "That doesn't sound like they're inviting me to an all-you-can-eat buffet." The Sword Maiden snickered. "Oh, the Blood Moon trial. Now I really don't want to help you escape. You can't do that. I'm your master." Her expression turned cold instantly, her eyes glowing crimson. "You my what?" She jabbed a finger hard into his forehead. "What did you just say? You my what?" Smoke practically puffed from his forehead with each poke. "You trying to say you're my master, right? Hell, what? You want me to call you that a few times, so you can add more research material to all the dirty thoughts in your head?" Ash's face darkened. "And what's wrong with that? You're just a virtual character in a game, and I'm the player. If I die, you stop existing. With that kind of bond, why wouldn't you help me?" Ash said coldly, "Mad Sword Maiden, I'm not your master, but I'm not your slave either. If you can't even treat me as an equal, you might as well go back into the game and be nothing but data." The Sword Maiden turned, her voice calm. "A virtual character? Huh? You're right. I am nothing more than a phantom thought. But, observer, remember what you said today. You are not my master. You never will be. Swear it. If you lie, you'll lose your face and never get it back for 10,000 years." Ash swore back. "I swear if I lie, I'll lose my face and never get it back for 10,000 years." Then the sword maiden beckoned him to follow as they walked. To be honest, it's not that I don't want to help you. I can't help you. As you've seen, no one but you can see or touch me. I can't affect the physical world at all. So how could I possibly help you break out of prison? Ash blinked. Then why are you here? To show off your new skin. Didn't you say it yourself? Our bond. The sword maiden replied. I'm here to transfer that 30% shared experience to you. Ash immediately spread his arms and closed his eyes, dead serious. All right, I'm ready. She jabbed him in the forehead again. Ready my ass. You think it's gonna go bling and suddenly you've mastered all my sword skills like some miracle? Smoke almost rose from his forehead as he asked blankly. Then how do you transfer it? Simple. Go find someone to fight. While you're in combat, I'll transmit the experience so you naturally gain it through battle. Hearing that, Ash scanned his surroundings. Target acquired, bald head, tattoos, huge muscles, scar across the face. Looked exactly like the type who'd killed hundreds before ending up here. A bona fide serial killer. Ash strode right over and, in a deliberate act of provocation, knocked over the man's cup, spilling water all over him. Oops. Totally on purpose. The bald man's eyes went blood red as he rose to his full height, towering over Ash. Ash braced himself for a beating, but instead, the man's expression softened into one of adoration. Be careful walking around, okay? Oh, and today's milk is pretty good. Highly recommend. Ash just stared at him in shock. What the hell? This isn't how it's supposed to go. Back at his spot, the sword maiden was practically doubled over with laughter. Sorry, I've had professional training. Ha-ha. Unless I can't help myself. All you inmates have chips locked into the backs of your necks. No attacking others, no verbal abuse, no self-harm. That's why Smash Lake Prison seems so free. Every bone and every nerve in your body is chained. They even let school kids come here for spring and autumn field trips. Those chips can even send a high-voltage shock that stops your heart instantly. Try digging an escape tunnel with a spoon, and the chip will shut you down for damaging property. Ash's eyes welled up. If prisoners can't attack anyone, how am I supposed to provoke a fight? The sword maiden snapped. Just find someone to fight already. Nothing's easier to understand than combat. Honestly, observer, are you breaking out or am I? What's next? When you're hungry, you're gonna call me mommy? The next second, Ash yelled, Mom, Grandma, which sent the sword maiden into a fury. She smacked him so hard he went flying. Ash slammed into the bald man's back. Hey, I'm Ash. What's your name? The burly bald man, thinking he was being hit on, pointed to himself. I already have a boyfriend. Ash shivered. That's not what I meant. I just had a question for you. The bald man's face lit up. I understand, really. Running into someone like me, who openly admits he's taken, must be so awkward for you while you're flirting. The bald man said earnestly, my love for my boyfriend is pure and genuine. So I make my stance clear from the start. I'm kind to everyone, but I won't tolerate even the slightest suspicion. Ash, you're a good guy too. I'm sure you'll find your own true love someday. And there's no need to be embarrassed. Failed flirting is perfectly normal. If you can't think of a cover question right now, I can wait. But honestly, Ash, the way you try to get my attention was way too cliché. Knocking over my milk on purpose? That's grade school level. Ash bit back a retort and asked directly, if I want to fight, is there a way? The bald man raised a brow. New here, huh? If you're looking to stretch your muscles, you've come to the right person. Name's Langna. I'm a member of the Deathmatch Club. We've got the warden's permission. During official matches, our chips can be temporarily disabled, so we can fight. It's an exclusive perk for club members. Ash's eyes widened. Deathmatch Club? As in fight to the death. The prison actually allows us to kill each other.